Now, in the past, I've made it very clear that I'm a huge fan of monthly paying dividend stocks and ETFs, and I own plenty of them across my long-term portfolio, as you can see right here. Now, the reason being is not only because I like to get paid more income more frequently to have more cash balance throughout my portfolios to then reinvest into more stocks and ETFs across my portfolios, but also because I personally am currently building out a portfolio that as of this filming is paying me around $1,600 or so per month. But in the future, on top of that, I want this portfolio to not only cover some of my bills, but hopefully all of my bills and then some later down the line. Now, with a monthly frequency dividend payouts from stocks and ETFs, that cash flow on a monthly basis will make money management much easier down the line when it comes to pay for bills, vacations, or other things. Now, in this video specifically, we're going to go through 5 of my favorite monthly paying dividend stocks and ETFs, and this is across the entire market and then some. These are some of the top names that I've came across over my 7 or 8 years of investing, and trust me, at this point, I've went over almost everything that offers a dividend monthly. So if you want to see which 5 are my favorite across the market, make sure to stick around, drop a like down below, and let's get right into the first one. Real quick, for those that haven't already, make sure to go to the first link in my description and grab my new dividend investing ebook, where I share exactly how I went from $0 invested to now earning over $6,000 on a monthly basis and over $1 million invested in the markets. Along with the ebook, you're also going to receive my custom dividend tracker, where you can track your dividend progress on an ongoing basis and reach your dividend investing goals. So make sure to grab yourself a copy of my dividend investing ebook and the new dividend tracker today. It's the first link in my description. Now, when it comes to monthly dividends, I don't think there's a single stock that has done better in my portfolio across the time frame that I've been investing, and a stock that's paid me dividends and more dividends over time than that of Main Street Capital, or ticker symbol MAIN. Now, Main Street Capital is a business development company that since trading around 2007 is up over 304%, and that's not even including the massive dividend that MAIN pays every single month. Now, to give you an idea of how well MAIN has performed over a few time frames, on the 1 year, MAIN is up 24%. Year to date, this stock is up 20+% alone. Now, as of right now, MAIN is trading towards the upper end of the 52-week range, so as of right now, Main Street Capital probably isn't a screaming buying opportunity, but just to be completely transparent, I'm still currently adding a few shares of MAIN to my portfolio just because I love the stock with a passion. Now, Main Street Capital is currently offering right around a 7% starting yield, which is still massive considering how much this stock just keeps going up in price. And looking at the max view of all the dividends paid historically, you can see that Main Street Capital has paid dividends every single month and special dividends on top of that, which has made a lot of investors very rich over this time frame. And now, because of all those reasons and more, I have to always include Main Street Capital in a video whenever I'm talking about the highest quality, my favorite dividend payers on a monthly basis at that. One of my next favorite monthly payers is one of my largest positions in my entire portfolio. It's Realty Income, ticker symbol O. Now, Realty Income is still offering a potential buying opportunity, still down a little bit over the last year. Year to date, though, Realty Income is now in the green. It has recovered quite a bit since the most recent lows, which, keep in mind, just a few months back, Realty Income was trading below $50 per share, which luckily I grabbed a lot of shares of during that time. Now, Realty Income on the max time frame is up 606%. This stock has outperformed a lot of stocks and ETFs over multiple different time frames. Although over the last 5 years, Realty Income has been in a rut, but even during those 5 years, Realty Income has not only been paying a nice 5-6% dividend yield to investors, but also Realty Income has a history of raising their dividend more or less every single quarter, making the cash flow that Realty Income pays larger and larger over time. Now, Realty Income is one of the best REITs across the entire landscape, if you ask me. Owns like 15,000 different properties. Realty Income is a massive REIT at that. So for those investors out there looking for some monthly cash flow, Realty Income is a must to have on the watch list. Another monthly payer that I have got to include in this video, if we're talking highest quality, some of my favorites, is ticker symbol DIVO, or the Amplify CWP Enhanced Dividend Income ETF. Now, this ETF buys into a basket of holdings, a small curated basket of holdings, right now around 34 different names like United Health Group, Amgen, Caterpillar, Home Depot, names that have been paying dividends and more dividends over time, but then with that sells a covered call over the holdings, which generates a ton of income for investors and also has helped the ETF grow over time historically. The ETF is up around 57%, and this is over the last 8 or so years, but keep in mind, along with that, this ETF has paid massive dividends historically. Looking into the monthly dividend income that Devo has paid, we're talking around a 4.5% yield with dividend increases historically. Although the dividend increases have been slow and steady, Devo has basically traded up into the right year after year after year, and on top of that paid around a 4 or 5% yield, which makes this ETF honestly sort of bulletproof, because even if this ETF just trades sideways, it's not like you're starting with a small yield. Almost a 4 or 5% yield is a lot of cash flow. Regardless of whatever market conditions you're in, Devo is one of my favorites across the market for what it's done historically and for what I think it's going to continue to do in the future. The next monthly payer is their symbol DGRO, or the Wisdom Tree US Quality Dividend Growth Fund. Now this ETF, in my opinion, has some of the highest quality basket of holdings, around 300 different stocks, and almost a perfect holding breakdown, with the majority of the ETF being technology, then things like healthcare, industrials, financials. This is a holding breakdown that's not only going to move up in price over time, but also a lot of stocks within these holdings have the tendency to pay dividends and more in dividends over time. Now the majority of this ETF is in Microsoft and Apple, so if you want exposure to Microsoft and Apple, definitely keep listening, but if you don't like those two stocks for whatever reason, then maybe this ETF is not for you. DGRW also holds things like Broadcom, abbvie, Johnson & Johnson, Nvidia, names that are very familiar, and like I said, names that have not only grown over time, but also paid tons of dividends and more in dividends long term. It's not only monthly cash flow though when it comes to DGRW. This ETF over the long term has traded basically up and to the right with very slight dips over time. Now because of this ETF is up around 218%, and this is in the last 11 or so years, but like we talked about, this ETF also does pay a dividend monthly. It's a smaller dividend. You're only getting around a 1.56% trailing 12-month dividend yield, but still, this ETF does pay dividends every single month, cash flow that's been growing over time. But if we're going to be real here, DGRW is probably going to make a lot more investors rich off a price return because this ETF just keeps moving up and up and up over time. The last monthly payer that offers a massive yield, this is sort of an alternative investment in my portfolio, a smaller position, and I personally would never invest a large portion into SVOL, but we're talking about the Simplified Volatility Premium ETF, which offers a 16-17% yield. Now in the max time frame, SVOL has seen some red down around 13.75%, but year to date and over the last year, this ETF has lost around 3% in value, but along with that, this ETF has paid around 16-17% in dividends. So if you look at that on a total return basis, investors that bought into SVOL over the last year did not lose money whatsoever. They're actually up around 12 or so percent at least. Now this ETF has a tendency to pay around 30 cents more or less every single month, at least over the last year or so. And although this ETF has sort of a complicated strategy that I've talked about in detail on other videos in the past, this ETF does pay a lot of cash flow on a monthly basis. But once again, I personally would never use a large portion of my portfolio, a large portion of my cash balance to allocate it into something like this. But that being said, over the long term, SVOL does have a total return that's positive, and net has made investors a lot of money over the past several years if you take into consideration total return. So those are 5 of my favorite monthly paying dividend stocks and ETFs across the entire market if I were to have to pick 5 as of right now. Now there's tons of other stocks and ETFs that don't pay monthly that I also really enjoy investing into. But like I said, because of that monthly dividend frequency or monthly distribution frequency, I sort of do have a bias or a sweet spot for dividend stocks and ETFs that pay monthly, because of course my goals and my long-term strategy is going to have quite a need for monthly income to be coming in consistently. Now, out of all different stocks and ETFs across the market that pay dividends or distributions monthly, I want to hear now from you guys down below. What are your top 3 favorites across the entire market out of everything? Drop the ticker symbols in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to please drop a like and subscribe for more future content like this. Thanks as always for stopping by, and if you are interested in investing, make sure to check out these recent videos I posted right here.